Guys, thanks a mil for coming down, okay? My name is Niall, for those of you that don't know me, and a couple of reasons why we asked people to come down this evening, okay? So, this is Michael, and I'll tell you a little bit about Michael now in a sec, but just before we get going this evening, alright? We're obviously here to talk a little bit about nutrition. So the aim of the game here is to give you guys a little bit of a sense of maybe some things you already know, a couple of things that you mightn't be aware of, and then just general tips that are important for you guys at the stage that you guys are at now, okay? Especially over the next few weeks and months when there's loads and loads of games, things are getting a little bit more serious with the championship and stuff like that, and that maybe the pressure's on a little bit more. You're back in school, a little bit more stressed out, so you want to give people a few practical guidelines around how to deal with that. Michael is gonna go through some slides here. He's going to ask you guys a few questions. I know it's very, very difficult to say and answer in a room like this, but please don't be shy, okay? So anybody that volunteers any sort of an answer gets a healthy treat of Michael's choice. We've got cereal bars, we've got banana milk, we've got chocolate milk, we've got bananas. We've got bananas. And for the best question at the end, even though it goes against the ethos of this evening, we'll have a big pack of jellies, okay?
Yep.
Right, so that's a little bit of a reverse of why we're in the room. Hold on one sec. So, there's about, I reckon there's maybe about 120 people in the room, okay? So, not that we need to say this, it's a little bit warm and stuff like that. We're going to aim to not go really, really long, go maybe half an hour, 35 minutes. We'll go as long as you guys want in terms of questions and stuff like that. But the aim isn't to keep you guys here all night. We want to get the most out of it that you possibly can. One of the reasons why we're starting off with this particular topic is that in the coming weeks and months, what we're going to try and do as a club is, and along with our coaches, is to try and give you guys a little bit more help in other areas like strength and conditioning or athletic development, around life balance, around sort of the mental side of things, as well as the skills in the game side of things, okay? So we're aiming to try and really build and support you guys in those areas. And nutrition and lifestyle and sleep habits are fundamental to all of those things, okay? So what we're talking about tonight is about sport and about nutrition, but it's about much more than that from a wider context too. Michael Day is the man standing beside me here. We're very lucky to have him. Okay, Michael's a senior footballer in the club here. He's from Galway. He's played for Galway at all the different levels. He's a nutritionist in the Mater Hospital, okay, and has got more degrees than a thermometer. So he knows exactly what he's talking about. There's loads of people here, so I don't need to say this to you, but please give me your full attention. We're looking to have a little bit of crack as well, so again, there's no such thing as a stupid question or a stupid comment. If Michael is talking about something and you're not sure about it, ask. Or nudge someone beside you and get them to ask, okay? We'll try and do loads of questions at the end, or we will do loads of questions at the end, but if you have something in your head after 10 minutes, just throw up your hand or just ask Michael to elaborate a little bit more, because what we want is tonight is to try and give you guys as much useful, valuable information as we possibly can. Not just lecture you for 30 minutes and you leave going, well, that was no use at all. Okay, so that in a nutshell is what we're going to go after for the next 30 or 35 minutes. I know it's going to be useful and I hope you enjoy it. And over to Mick.
Yep, perfect. Thank you, Niall. So hi everyone, again my name is Michael Day. I'm a dietitian and a performance nutritionist working in the Mater Private Hospital. So the main aim of tonight, don't want it to go on too long or anything like that, but just a few nuggets. My aim for tonight is just to keep people on the field for as long as possible. That's just my ethos, and through nutrition you can do that as well. It's just being fueled for what you're going to do to help you, be it playing all the sports here, to help you during your daily lives in school, to develop as you age as well. Then that you're not getting injuries, that you're not getting sick, that you can stay on the field for as long as possible, doing what you love, playing sport, remaining healthy as well. And loads of questions. Everyone from the back, I'd love to see how far I can throw one of these bottles, to be honest. So the overview of tonight is just, again, I don't want to be lecturing. There'll be a few slides that are word heavy at the start, not too much. It'll be the basics of nutrition, where to get the best sources of these, how to fuel for your exercise. So when you're going out in the field, how do you feel most energized? How can you get the most out of the training? How can you recover from that? Things to do on your match days, on if you're starting in the gym, if it's a thing after a training, what you do for nutrition to recover. Why meeting the base is so important for performance, and especially at your age. Take-home messages and questions, but questions throughout. Please do that. I would love to hear as much questions as possible. So just the basics. Why is it essential for nutrition, especially at your age? It's essential for youth athletes to reach peak performance, to grow healthily, to develop as an athlete and reduce your chances of injuries and sicknesses. That's my main goal here for tonight. That's the main ethos. Can we reduce injuries? Can we reduce sickness so you can stay on the field for as long as possible, especially when you're coming into the winter months? There's 3 types of nutrients that you'll be intaking from food. You might have heard of these, you might not have. It's all fine. I'll go through what they are as foods. So they're carbohydrates, proteins, fats. Along with this, there's fluids are really, really important. You need a mix of all of these to help yourselves reach your peak performance, be that on a daily basis, be it in school or on the pitch as well. How many of you are playing more than one sport in this room? Are you playing in schools? Brilliant. That's fantastic. That's the aim I want you to keep doing, is playing as much sports as possible, as much teams. How do you fuel for that? The more you're playing, the more you need fuel, the more you can keep playing as much as possible as well. Is that okay? So essentially, where to get the best source of each nutrient. So at your age, as kids, in your teens, you're going to see a lot of things online. The thing about nutrition is it's getting a great amount of airtime, but there's a lot of miscommunication out there as well about what's the most important thing in nutrition, where to get the best source of nutrient. So everyone thinks supplements, that's what I need to do to get the best max amount of nutrition and get the most out of myself. Next then is sports nutrition, then a balanced diet at the bottom. It's completely the wrong way around. You need a balanced diet to build that foundation. Depending on what you're doing then, be it on a sports day, if it's how you fuel for a recovery day, how you fuel for a match that evening, how you fuel for a training, how you fuel for a gym are all different. There's different things you can do for that, but it's so important that you have the foundation and supplements. Maximum supplements will give you maybe 3 to 5% of your goal. If you don't have the other 2 below that, supplements will do nothing for you. So don't be wasting all your money. Don't be pestering your parents to buy stuff for you, because at the end of the day, it's going to be a waste of money if you don't have those 2 bottom pillars. I'm very, very happy that all parents are here today, to be honest. The role of a parent is massive. As kids, you might even realise that now. I didn't definitely when I was younger, but you have a huge, huge impact on the nutrition that kids get in. And you can have a huge impact on them as they're going forward, be it as they're fueling, coming to training, and as they leave a training. If they have something in the car there just to take straight away, that's helping them recover. They're recovering for the next session. They're staying on the field for as long as possible then. So delighted you're all here because you have a huge, huge input in that. Just going into carbohydrates a small bit. Again, I don't want to go too deep dive into this too much, but they're so, so important. You might hear bad press about these, oh, carbs make me fat. That's completely the opposite. Carbs are there to help you go. They're your energy system. They're the things that help you. When you go over a jog, your body starts using those as a fuel source. It's the only thing it'll use as a fuel source. So it's important that we're getting enough of these in. It's like pastas, rices, it's things like that as well. So due to the high intensity and volume of GA training, having enough energy is crucial. So making sure you're getting enough of these in. And carbohydrates, I always go for carbohydrates are to go. So I've given you 2 sources of a carbohydrate. Can anyone else name them? I'm going to throw a few. Pasta, brilliant. Yeah, well, as I said it. Come on, bread, perfect. Geez, I'm going to have to be throwing out so many things here. All right, let's see how we can do this. Yeah. Hands. Whoa. All right, well done, brilliant. No, exactly. So we'll get a bit of quiet again. So essentially your carbohydrates are in pastas, rices, your potatoes, your porridges, your Weetabix, your breads. These are all things that put energy into your muscles to help them go. The more you're training, the more games you're playing, the more of these we need to fuel the body to help it go. There are healthy sources of these that you can see up here, your fruits, your veggies, your whole grains, your seeds, your nuts, your beans, and things like that, your cereal bars, your fruits here, really, really important. So fair play on that. In terms of protein, another really important one, you see protein probably on absolutely everything now. It's a buzzword going around. But it's still really, really important. While it doesn't fuel you for things like a sprint or long distance running, it will help maximize the building of your muscles as well, which is really, really important for recovery and as you grow as a team. So again, it's really important then for your immune system and for preventing any illnesses and sicknesses. So it's really important to have that in some sort of a meal or a snack throughout the day as well to keep you building up, and it'll help with recovery. So again, we'll try the same thing. Anyone give me some sources of proteins? Meat, brilliant. Yeah, brilliant. Eggs. All right, you can take these at the end. Come on. I'm not going to throw a milk on them. All right. So you can come up and get them at the end. So, all right, we'll go again. We'll try this again. So, exactly, eggs, great source of it, meat, fish, milk, these are all fantastic sources of protein. Try and have them in your main meals, be it a breakfast, lunch and dinner throughout the day, and then maybe a snack then as well. So like them chocolate milks that we have here. So our higher level there are where you get the most amount to a middle level, then a decent source, and bottom level spread throughout the day. Just these will help for building up your muscles, helping you to recover. They're really, really important, especially after exercise, because you have to breaking down the muscle training, you want to build it back up, you need some source of it. But they're not all just important to have protein after a training. It's important that you're mixing it with the carbohydrates we went through earlier on. So like a milk has all of them together. Something like a sandwich in a milk, perfect as well. Some fruit and some, like you could have eggs on toast, perfect as well. And then finally, we talk about fats. Fats, again, there's two different types of fats. There's healthier fats and there's maybe unhealthy fats. So fat is a major fuel source for low and moderate intensity exercise. I'm burning it here while I'm walking around. When I start to go into a jog, I'm not using that as much. It's essential for just reducing the inflammation in the body, for your illnesses and sicknesses, trying to reduce that. But it's important that we're getting the majority of our fats, if we can, from what are called unsaturated fats. These come from things like nuts and seeds, what we have up here. They'll come from things like salmons, olive oils, and avocados as well. We're trying to limit as much as we can from other fats like trans fats, saturated fats. These are all things from our takeaway foods, our chocolates, as much as possible. I'm not here to say you cut them out completely. Your kids, you're growing up, you have to enjoy that. Food is a great social outlet with your family, with your friends. But just trying to minimize it as much as you can. Have it on a weekend. Don't make it a habit that you're having it every day. But just limit it down and try and go for these ones more on the left. They'll help with your reduction in your inflammation, help you recover. Is that okay? Happy enough? Perfect. These are the most kind of slide or word heavy ones, but we're almost through them. So finally, fluids. So essentially, your best source of fluids for hydration is water. You try and get your pee to look like something like between 1 to 3 over there that you're good and hydrated. That'll help with mental fatigue and physical fatigue for staving that off. You'll find if you're throughout a day in school, if you're not getting enough water, you're not going to be concentrated as much on what's happening in school. Specifically as well when you're out hurling or playing camogie or playing football, if you don't have enough fluids on board, you're going to have a mental dehydration. You're not going to be as concentrated. So it's important for every hour you're training. So this is where I come back to parents and coaches having a huge impact. Making sure there's breaks in play to have a drink of water. Try and get to minimize the losses they're having after a training session before they go home as well. Trying to get in a bit of fluid as well, just so they're rehydrating. And trying to avoid things like your sugar sweetened beverages as much as possible. They're not going to give you that hydration. So Coke, 7-Up, and use sports drinks only for your kind of games or high intensity training. So like a Lucozade Sport and Energizer. And then things like skimmed milks or low fat milks and no added sugar in my waddies are all good options as well. So these are all the things that you can use depending on what you're doing on that day. Mostly water, some milks and Energizers. Is there any questions from the floor there? This could be a good time to get a few. It's all right if there isn't, we can keep moving on, but if you do have any, just pop up the hands and we can go through it. Is that all right? We keep going? All right, so again, I kind of go back to my main ethos. So food is your fuel. So essentially, staying on the field, playing as much sport for as many teams as you can play for as possible is the main thing that I want to try and get out of today. That you're well fueled to do that, you can keep on doing that throughout your adolescent lives, all the way into your adult lives. Because if you're doing that all the way through and you're enjoying your sport and you're staying on the field injury-free, you're more likely to do that later on in life. So it's really, really important. Especially for girls. This is a lot of research coming out recently on this, that you're very much, and it's as a target for when it comes to nutrition, of underfueling, of what good nutrition is, that I need to minimize carbs, that I need to minimize fats, and I need to not eat these things to keep myself good and lean. If you keep doing that when you're playing sport, you're going to end up getting injuries. You're going to end up getting more bone injuries. You're going to end up with more stresses, more delayed cognitive functions as well, because there's a lot of research coming out on low energy availability, especially in girls, and that can happen from a young age. And it seems to come from a lot of low carbohydrate intake as well. So don't be doing that. It's not going to do anything for you. You're only going to get more injuries, more sicknesses, and it's not going to help you going forward on a sports level or on when you're in school as well. So especially for yourselves, making sure you're fueling all the time for your sports. You will utilize all that energy that you're taking in. The amount of teams you're playing for, you will utilize that all the time as energy. Your muscles will take it up. You'll be stronger for that, you'll be fitter for that, and you'll be healthier for that. So just keep doing that. It's really, really important, especially for girls. I just wanted to get that across from the get-go. Any questions on that? It's a really important topic that's coming out in recent years, especially for girls. All right, so going on to pre-exercise nutrition. So again, if there's two things that you can kind of take out of tonight, it would be how do I fuel for what I'm doing out in the field or in the gym, or be it just going out for a training session or for a match, and how do I fuel for after it to recover. So pre-exercise nutrition. So again, we went through what the carbohydrates are, where you can get them from, and why they're so important. So essentially in the lead up in the hours before a match or before training, you need to be getting in enough carbohydrates to fuel the body. You will use that energy system out when you're training. The minute you go over a jog, your body will use that. So ingest meals and snacks high in carbohydrates in the hours before a training or match. Being hydrated is vital also. Important that you're getting moderate amounts of protein then as well, little bits in your breakfast, your lunch and dinner throughout that day as well to keep the muscles strong. But try and choose slow releasing carbohydrates, brown breads, brown rices, pastas, porridges. These are the things that give you the most amount of energy for the longest amount of time. Fruits as well are great. And you'll recharge those batteries that you're ready to go, that you can run more out in the field, that you have more energy, and then at the end of the games that you're playing better as well. So it's really, really important that you're doing that and just being fueled. So essentially what does that look like? Maybe 3 to 4 hours before a match, you're getting in a big bowl of pasta with a bit of chicken on it. 1 to 2 hours before that then is maybe a snack. It could be a cereal bar with a bit of milk. It could be some fruit. It could be some toast with an egg on it. Just something nice and light closer to it. So large amount of carbohydrates 3 to 4 hours beforehand. You're bringing down the amounts of it then as you get close to the match, so you're not getting a cramp. You don't want anything too big then close to the match. And then anything maybe 60 minutes before a match or a training, try and get a fluid in then as well, or something that's nice and light that isn't going to cause you a cramp as well. So that's where you can use your sports drinks, getting your waters in. Something like a smoothie is really, really handy as well. Is that okay? So these are the things you can go for 3 to 4 hours before a game. Really go on loads of potatoes, loads of pancakes made with fruit, loads of rice, porridges and pastas. And then quick energy snacks that you can use 30 to 90 minutes before exercise. Cereal bars are really good. Smoothie down there. A banana with peanut butter and honey. So there's loads of different options. This is not an exhaustive list, but these are handy things to go for. Would any of you ever use these before a training or a match or anything like that? Yeah? Very, very handy. They just get the sugars up. They help get your energy back up that you're going to be using out in the field. You're going to be using that anyway when you're out in the field. So it's really, really important you're getting in. And especially if you're playing in an outfield position a lot more, you're going to be using that constantly. So keep fueling up before a game. You will use that. And then in-game or in-training nutrition, again, as I was saying, you don't want anything too heavy going into your stomach. Usually it's just fluids that we try and go for. During a training session, usually it's just water that's needed. But during a hard training or a match, what we say is just go for some maybe Lucozade Sports energizers, just to get the sugars in. But most of the time, all you need is water. And it's really, really important, especially for coaches and if parents are there, just getting water in 10 or 15 minutes, every 10 or 15 minutes, just to keep them hydrated and reduce the onset of fatigue. Is that okay? Any questions? Yeah?
How long should you be eating before like a match or something so you don't get cramp?
Yeah, perfect. That's a brilliant question. So I go back to this one. So, sorry, I was probably in your way there. So 3 to 4 hours before a game, that's where you can have your bigger meal, trying to get in like pastas or rices with a bit of chicken or something small like that. Maybe 1 to 2 hours before that, go for something lighter then. So that could be your cereal bar there with a bit of milk or a bit of fruit. And then 30 to 60 minutes beforehand, try and go for your waters and things like that. You'll be well fueled then going into it that you're not getting cramp. But a brilliant question.
Michael, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I'd say all the girls here would play a match that weekend at 1:30.
Yeah.
So what would you say about that? So like, how would you prepare for a match at 1:30?
Preparing.
We're not going to have to go past at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, no, exactly, yeah. And it's something just, it could be like, you know, a bit of muesli or Weetabix or porridge in the morning. They're like, you know, whatever what they like to get in. if they're not big fans of cereal in the morning, it could be a few slices of toast there with a bit of fruit, and just chopping up as they're going. Having their main meal maybe 3 to 4 hours beforehand, be that a cereal or some toast, kind of topping up as snacks more so than anything. And then
Would you be able to eat twice so before the match?
it all depends on the...
Like you probably got probably so would we recommend you get up early and eat?
It all depends, yeah. Like if you can get up earlier and eat, that you have your main meal in, that you're getting your biggest amount of carbohydrates in earlier, that would be great. But I know a lot of people, if they have a match at 1:30, they mightn't be getting up till 11. And it's just important that they're getting hydration on, that they're getting some sort of a snack in, be it a cereal bar, a bit of toast, a bit of fruit, something like that. Everyone is different, but it's important that they are fueling up with something. The closer they get to a match, the lighter they want to have something then as well, and not as bulky. Yeah?
Michael, what's better, milk or soy drink?
It all depends on the person. If they're lactose intolerant, you'd be saying go the soya route for the lack of lactose. But milk is brilliant, full of nutrients, full of protein and energy. So absolutely go for that. But unless they have an intolerance to it, I'd be saying go for normal milk. Yep.
2 quick questions. Did I see pancakes up there?
Yep.
Because that could be one they could have in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. For yourself or for the kids?
For me, obviously.
Yeah.
Another question, just in terms of in-game.
Yeah. Sorry there. Yep.
A lot of the girls here will be doing Fela next year.
Yep.
And they could be playing 3 games in a day.
Yep.
Any advice on what to do? Because obviously you can't be eating a heavy meal between games, but is that the energy snacks?
Yeah, so it'd be more the energy, quick acting energy snacks there that are nice and light. So making sure getting enough fluids is the first and most important thing. It could be having like a bit of a chocolate milk then in between, or like say a cereal bar, some fruit as well, and just keep repeating that all the way through. The bigger the gap, the heavier the meal can be, or the snack. The closer the gap, the more you want, like say fluids more so than anything, because they're already broken down. The last thing you want is a big main meal coming into your stomach. All the blood will go to your stomach, away from the working muscles. You're not absorbing it, you're getting a cramp. So it's just something nice and light constantly. We'll keep on going. Brilliant questions though, thanks so much for having those. Yep. Yeah. So again, absolutely, like, so there's a time and place for them. Like, so say an hour and a half before a training session, an hour before, it's absolutely perfect, like, because they're going to use that at training. But if they're constantly having them and they're not training, that's just sugar that's coming on. Same with sports drinks as well. But you have the idea, if you're actually training and using that, absolutely go for it. Like, it's nice and light and they will use it. Yeah.
White carbs,
Yep.
white rice, white bread, is it far less effective than whole grain?
Again, the only thing that's different in them is a slower release in your, say, your whole grain, your browns, so you'll get a bit more out of it, you'll be a bit fuller for longer. White rices and white breads, maybe closer to a session, can actually be a bit better because they're quicker absorbed. But it's just in long term, I would say go for browns more so than anything, because you're fuller for longer. It slows the release down of energy as well. That'll be the only difference. Yeah.
If you're only home from school and not even hour until training, what should you eat like in between?
Yeah, another brilliant question as well. Again, loads of great things up here. So like having something like a cereal bar is perfect. A bit of fruit I'd always go for myself now. Just like pick up a banana and apple on the way out the door and a bit of water. Great source of energy there for you straight away. Or it could be like a chocolate milk going out the door as well. They're brilliant. Yeah. Yeah. So again, unless you have an intolerance, milk is a great thing to have in your diet. And I'll go through why it's really important, especially for a recovery style of nutrition. But I'll keep on moving because I know there's another crew coming in, but we have about 15 minutes left, so that's brilliant. Their questions are excellent. So in terms of your recovery nutrition, so the purpose of post-exercise nutrition is to rehydrate, to repair and refuel the muscles. You're after doing all the hard work of doing all the exercise. You want to repair that muscle so it's getting better each time. So it's improving and you're growing. So the 15 to 60 minutes following exercise when the muscles are at their most receptive to uptake. So again, I go back to parents, the impact you can have is massive. It's huge. But if you have something there in the car on the way home, if you have a drive home, if it's one of these drinks just in the car, just like a chocolate milk, be it just a normal milk, one of these chocolate milks, a Muju, an Avamore protein milk, anything like that, that has the 3 R's of recovery in it right there that they're recovering. It has a protein in it, it has a fluid in it, it has a carbohydrate in it that they're actually recovering straight away. If they don't like that and they want something else, it could be just having a bit of water and some fruit and a cereal bar. It could be a sandwich and a bit of fruit and a bit of water as well. There's loads of different concoctions you can put together. But it's just really important that there's a window of opportunity to recover, and it gets smaller and smaller the longer you leave it. So having something really quickly after a session, nice and light, and then a main meal maybe an hour afterwards will help you get the max recovery that you're after doing all the hard work of the exercise, you're rebuilding, you're ready to go again, that you're feeling recovered for tomorrow. That's why I wanted to ask about how many are playing multiple sports. You're probably going to be playing the next day, so you want to be refueled, recovered to go again. So you're not getting injured, you're not getting sick, that you can play it to your maximum and just keep doing that. It's just repeating it all the time. Is that okay? Yeah. And here's just, the next two slides are a few different types of the 3 R's. So your fluids here, your waters, your milks, your my waddies, your carbohydrates. They could be a pasta, fruit, bread, porridge, rice. Protein then could be just like an egg, could be your chicken, could be your meat, could be your fish, your yogurts, your milk. There's a great online as well. So I know everyone here is probably on Instagram. Instagram can be fantastic for nutrition. It can be deadly for nutrition as well. But there's some brilliant people online that do a lot better work than I do, that put up brilliant stuff online for like really good nutrition info hacks. So Bridge Nutrition is Laura Keeley, I think is her name. She's based in Dublin. She puts up fantastic infographics. So the recovery after a session, some really, really good snack ideas. So again, you're getting in the most important thing after a session. What I said to you about protein, while it builds the muscle, it's not the most important thing after any session. You have to mix it with the carbohydrate. Carbohydrates fuel the muscle, protein will build it. Together, it will fuel that recovery. So getting in something like a tuna bagel, Lucozade and jerky, a protein shake and fruit, again, I put a caveat beside that. You don't need to have a protein shake. That could just be one of these protein milks here that are really well made. It could be just a milk and a bit of fruit, chocolate milk and a banana, quark, cheese and cornflakes, a recovery shake, chicken and juice. There's loads of different options. Would highly recommend going onto her site and having a look. And then going back to why milk is so important and why I'd recommend it for having it straight away after a session. It has all 3 R's of recovery that you need. It's convenient, affordable, versatile and accessible. So easy if you just forgot something on the way that you can go into a shop, get a bit of milk and a bit of fruit and you'll be recovered straight away afterwards. Is that okay? Any questions on any of those? Yeah?
Sorry, you know, say like multiple sports, if you have like a really busy schedule.
Yeah.
Would it be too busy, like, is there time for recovery of like training 4 days or 5 days in a row? Or like, is it fine if you just do it one down and just do warm up? Would you say that that's
As in, is it...
different, but like for, as you saying, like recovery and stuff, like, is there like such thing as like too
doing too much, is it? Or too much recovery nutrition, is it?
yeah.
Is there too much like doing exercise?
Like, is it too much if it's like, I don't know how to explain it, like,
Is it eating too close to different exercise bouts, is it?
yeah, I don't know quite.
So again, I might not answer this question, but if you have like multiple sports on multiple days, if you have something on in the afternoon, which happens to a lot of people, it's really important that you're fueled for that in the morning, you recover from that you have like a carbohydrate source and a protein source. That'll help recovery, it'll help you fuel then for the next session straight away as well. And then you're getting in something light then for the next session to help you fuel back up. So you can do it, absolutely. There's loads of people that do multiple trainings on multiple days. They just have to keep doing this consistently. So it's fuel for that first morning session, recover from it, start fueling for the next one, recover from that. Yeah? Again, that would not be my area of expertise, but again, no, honestly, that's why I wanted to go through that slide a few minutes ago. Again, if you're under fueling, a lot of girls can miss their period as well, which is a clear sign that they're under fueled. So it's really important that they're maintaining their nutrition coming in, getting in enough carbohydrates to fuel for that. That'll be the only thing I'd say to that, is that a clear training session as well. But if you do notice as parents that has been missed, that is a clear sign that they're under fueling. So that's why I really wanted to put in that slide. And these are just recovery options again, as I was saying. Again, not repping for anyone, but Milbona in Lidl do a really good one. There's a protein milk that you'll see on the shelves, and a Muju then can actually be a really handy one. Muju is a really good one. If you're after a really hard match that has a bit more sugars in it, it'll actually help with recovery. But on a daily basis, I'd be saying go for the other two as a snack in between. But no harm to have a Muju after a game. But I wouldn't be saying have it daily as snacks. But definitely after a game, great for recovery. Yeah.
If you're lactose intolerant, is there a version of that?
Again, it's more your lacto-free ones, Soyamate. They probably will be in a few years, but it's just not at the market, not at the moment. The reason why nutrition is so important that, again, I go back to fueling for the work that you're doing to stay on the field for as long as possible. If you are fueling for getting in your carbohydrates before your training session, that you're fueled for that, doing all the hard stuff of your hard training, staying on the field, not getting injured, and then after your session you're getting your recovery in, you'll find that you'll break the body down, you'll build it back up, you'll break it down, build it back up, and it'll keep going like that. It'll be nice and slow, but you'll keep building and building. If you're going into a training session or a match and you're under-fueled and you're not recovering after the session, that will go the other way. You might get through a few weeks of it, you'll end up getting an injury, you'll miss a few weeks. That's where people start falling out of sport over time, getting injuries and sicknesses, especially coming into winter time. So it's really important that you fuel for your training, you're getting your nutrition in throughout a train, so if that's just fluids, and then getting in a recovery snack straight away afterwards, that you're constantly building forward and forward. That'll keep you away from injuries and sicknesses, keeping you on the field for as long as possible. And I just go back to proteins are to grow, carbohydrates are to go. You will use those carbohydrates. You're training and playing with so many teams. Do not underfuel, you will use them. Keep getting them in each meal and snack. You will use them going through each training session and match. And just coming through to the last few slides, thanks for staying with me on it. So in terms of sleep to recover, this is important for absolutely everyone in the room, not just kids. The more we sleep, the more growth hormone we release, the more we recover, the more we build. That's just as important as it is. So essentially trying to get to bed at a good hour, trying to get up, trying to get your 7, 8, 9 hour sleep, everyone's different, but trying to aim for that 8 hours. Again, things like caffeinated drinks close to bed will reduce the amount you sleep, the sleep quality you get. So things like Monsters, coffees, things like that. Coke Zeros, Cokes as well will have a caffeine content in it. So it's important that you're minimizing those close to bed or trying to reduce them down altogether so you get the most amount of sleep that you're going to recover. The things that cost very little, or like things like getting enough water and getting enough sleep, will have the most amount of impact on your performance and your health, more so than any supplement will ever do. And there's great research done. Those who sleep less get injured more. That's pretty much it. The less you sleep, the more you get injured. So it's just important that you're really aware of that going forward. And things to do, again, this mightn't apply to you as young teenagers because you're playing with so many teams on so many days. But if there's ever a day where you don't have a match the next day and you're after a match the night before, try and have a high protein breakfast in the morning just to help the body recover a little bit more. That could be overnight oats made with like that high protein milk. It could be smoked salmon on toast or eggs on toast. It could be a smoothie made with milk. There's loads of different ones, a breakfast wrap as well. Bridge Nutrition again has some great stuff online that you can use. So why it's important to do the basics, it's just to keep your bucket full. Get enough sleep, get enough nutrition, good nutrition in after your session. So like if you're fueling before your match or your training session, that you're fueled going into it, and then you're getting in a recovery meal afterwards, you're getting a good night's sleep, you're going to keep recovering, keep moving forward, keeping your bucket full, that you're able to put that out into your work or your training or into your school life as well, that you're maximizing that out as well. Is that okay? So coming to the last few, this is just one I always put up. Again, there was a nutritionist that went to a high performance nutrition lecturing with the Arsenal Academy, asked their nutritionist of all their age groups, what's the most important thing in nutrition? Said, doing the basics, world-class basics done consistently well. So forgetting non-nutrition based science, supplements or extreme strategies, forgetting all those, just do the basics really well. And that's what they do on a consistent basis at the top level. So my key messages are just try and sort your routine, do it daily. It's very, very boring, but if you're doing it consistently and doing the basics right, you will consistently go forward as well. So 3 balanced meals, 2 to 3 good snacks a day. On the days you're training and playing more games, get a lot more carbohydrates in. On the days you're not training or not playing matches, get a bit more protein in to recover. Proteins to grow, carbohydrates to go. Hydrate daily, monitor your urine and sweat loss, that you're staying hydrated. use the 3 hours of recovery if that's just a chocolate milk after a session, and that could be for a pitch session, that can be for a gym session. Do the basics excellently and you will excel. Try and get as much sleep as you can, drink enough water, eat fruit and veg, whole grain carbohydrates and lean proteins, and you'll constantly go up and up and up. And just the last few then are just long-term consistency trumps short-term intensity. Doing this consistently, you will constantly go forward and improve. These are just really good ones. Like, again, as I go back to Instagram being a really good area to get good nutrition tips, these are some good names there. There's a plethora of them, but these are a few that I would recommend highly. So Evan Regan Nutrition, Bridge Nutrition, Davy Nutrition, Nutricade, and then Hexus Performance. They put up really good meal plans as well and snack ideas. And that's it. Any questions? And thanks so much for getting involved with it. It was really, really helpful for you doing that as well. So many people have different questions that they might not want to ask that might be going through the same stuff. So fair play to you for asking the questions.
Thanks, Sunil. So guys, you've been in the room about 40 minutes now, okay? So we're right in the borderline of how long we said that we keep you, okay? I had to run out there for a few minutes, so I'm not sure if some of the questions or if
Yeah, there was questions throughout as well, which were great.
Talk about the energy drink one.
We kind of like covered the, not really, like just I said in it as a monster.
The only reason I'm asking that is the second or third last slide that Michael put up there is long-term consistency trumps short-term intensity. And what I think of when I think about that is, I'm really tired, I'll have a Monster drink or one of those energy drinks to sort of get a quick hit. And as Mick said, that might get you over a training session, which very, very occasionally is okay. But the trick and the message that we're trying to give to you guys is, especially now at the moment when you've got so much going on, is building those positive habits are the most important thing, okay? Consistency, consistency, consistency. And that means that you can have your treats and your fizzy drinks or whatever every now and again, that's absolutely fine. But we're just trying to give you guys a little bit of information to build those good habits. So real simple stuff like arriving to train and matches with stuff in your gear bag. Did you talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's just being, again, just having something with you for before it, if it's a snack before it or someone after it straight away. That's parents in the car having a chocolate milk for them or having it yourself there. But they're good habits to build up.
Okay, deadly. Sorry, I just want to sort of frame that. Does anybody have any more questions for Michael then before we let you guys go?
You're going to put up the recording for everybody to...
Sorry, great question. So what I'll do is, I've got some handouts here for the girls, but I'm actually not going to give them to you because they're in black and white. So what I'm going to do is, I've taken the 6 most important slides. All those slides are important, but the ones that maybe are the most sort of visual and most impactful for you guys, I'm going to share them. If you guys could share them with the girls, I'd appreciate it. We'll have the recording up on various different platforms you can access, and if Michael's alright with it, we'll actually send the whole presentation as well. So there won't be an issue getting any of the information that we've talked about here tonight. We're looking to give you guys as much of that and reinforce it as much as we possibly can.
Excellent.
Any other questions, guys?
Anything else?
Okay, just guys, thanks a million for that. We really appreciate you coming, I really appreciate you listening, and I really appreciate you participating. One more bill of boost, please, for Michael.
All the guys.
And you guys are free to go. We'll try and leave the chairs pretty much as you found them because the boys are going to be coming back in the place after.
Anyone asks a question, take those. Okay, no problem. Careful.
Thank you so much.
No, you can take whatever you want.
Oh, I don't want that.
Okay.
I already have
So we're leaving some for the boys.
Alan. Thanks, Michael.
No problem.
Thanks, Mike.
No problem.